Hi, my name is Marlon E. Starler Sr. Many of you may know me as the two-time welterweight champion of the world. I'm here to tell you that Democrat J. Stan McCauley, as our next mayor, will fight for you until the last bell. Help me throw a knockout punch. Go out and vote for Stan the Man.
My name is J. Stan McCauley, and I approve this message.
Want special thanks to Alfonso McGriff III, who is the producer and host of the program you're watching. This is his program, and he has been gracious enough to give me some time tonight. And so what we're going to do with this time is we're going to take your phone calls. We are live broadcasting from what is, without a doubt, the greatest television channel in the city of Hartford, Hartford Public Access Television, Cable Channel 5. It is your television station, and it is you out there that make the channel great. It's you out there that helps the producers that come in here and volunteer their time to produce the television shows that you've come to enjoy. One of those shows is the one you're watching now by Alfonso McGriff, who comes in and gives of the sweat of his brow to produce an opportunity for you all out there to have conversations, conscious conversations, as he likes to call them. And that's where you kind of leave your emotions and all of that kind of stuff on the back burner and discuss topics, and not necessarily that we have to agree, but that we can have a conversation and come to a mutual understanding. And so for this period of time, I'm going to be here. Those of you that are familiar with the station and familiar with what's going on in Hartford, no doubt know that I am a candidate for mayor here in the city of Hartford. And so we're going to do this, give you an opportunity to have access to ask whatever questions you may have, unscreened, unchecked, unfiltered, and you will get honest, straightforward answers from me without a script. The number to the studio is 524-8920. That's 524-8920. Area code is 860 for those of you watching us via the World Wide Web, on the internet, or through satellite television, or maybe you have AT&T and you watching us somewhere around the state of Connecticut, because you know with the AT&T deal you can watch public access channels from all over the state. And so we want to give you an opportunity to join us and call in with whatever questions you may have. It's a unique opportunity, and I am thankful to Alfonso for letting me have it. It's a little bit different when you sit here by yourself and you don't have someone to ask you the questions, as would be the normal case for an interview. But due to circumstances, he is in the control room and I'm out here. So we're going to let you all out there be the interviewer. All right? 524-8620. Now, half the city has power. The other half doesn't. I live in the half of the city that doesn't have power. It's been a very interesting last couple of days. And so nothing that a little sleep, a little heat wouldn't fix. But tonight we are spending the night at the shelter. We're going to be over at Calvin D. Anderson Center, or Parker Memorial, whatever it is that you want to call it, shelter for the night. My wife had decided that last night was the last night we were sleeping in the cold. And so my family and I are going to be over at the Anderson Center tonight, and see if we can't put some time in over there and spend time with the good people of Hartford. And if you don't have a place to stay, then you need to come on over there. It's warm. Now, I'm going to make a broad assumption that everybody that's watching this program has power, okay? Otherwise, obviously, you wouldn't be watching. But maybe some friends and family of yours that you can contact via cell phone are spending the night at home in the dark. Well, you know, there are shelters and there are opportunities and warming centers and charging centers all over the city where you can how shall we say, get your phones charged up, or you can get your spirits charged up, and you can be with friends, family, and neighbors and stay warm. So you can go on over to Parker Memorial. You can go on over to Pope Park. There's several churches around that have opened their doors up as places where you can stay warm. And this needs to be the beginning of opportunities to get to know your neighbors. You know, it's these kinds of crises that pull citizens together from around the city, and actually from next door. You'd be surprised how many people actually don't know who their neighbors are. All right? Well, you know, the time to get to know them is actually before emergencies happen. Okay? 524-8920. We are live. It is a Thursday evening, and broadcasting from Hartford Public Access Television, cable channel 5, in the city of Hartford. Get on the phone, 524-8920. Answer whatever questions you may have. This is Conscious Conversations, and Alfonso McGriff III has made this time available for you to be able to call in and ask questions of one of the candidates running for mayor, and that would happen to be me. So I'm of the mindset that you should hold accountable those people that are vying to be your elected leaders. I don't know how many of you are actually watching the news lately and participating in what's going on with this whole economic thing. Greece is not doing very well and was slated to perhaps even default on their debt obligations to the rest of the world financial system. Now, bring that up to talk about what Greece is doing in terms of the Grecian prime minister. They had worked out this deal, some sort of compromise, some sort of financial package and all this other stuff, where Greece was going to agree to do this, that, and a third. And this way, the markets would stabilize and, you know, prevent the threat of, you know, worldwide economic calamity. And the Grecian prime minister has decided that he's going to put this economic recovery package to the people of Greece. How quaint, you know, actually letting the people decide on the fate of the country. Now, I remember, you know, this happened, you know, in the beginning part of this week or at the very end of last week. But one of the comments made, because of course other world leaders weren't happy about this in Europe, but the comment was made that the Grecian prime minister has taken it upon himself to unilaterally decide to let the Greek people decide on this referendum. The vote's going to be December the 4th, from what I understand. But what I wanted to point out is that here is a political leader putting to the vote the people of Greece, putting this out for them to decide. Now, I think that's leadership. That's a bold move. Because I can guarantee you that the other financial leaders of the world are not happy over him allowing the common people to decide. And in my never to be humble opinion, there needs to be a little bit more of that, and it needs to happen here on the local level. You all out there get to decide what your leadership is going to look like, who's going to determine the fate of the city of Hartford. You. Not the power brokers in one particular part of town, not the political bosses that call the shots from the back room, but you, the voter. You see, every dime that is spent in an election is spent trying to get your vote. Now, we had a primary election just a couple of weeks ago, and there was a 17% turnout. And some like to say, well, you all out there, the voters, are just apathetic and don't care. I believe differently. I believe that the voters want a product that they can, that they like. Sort of like day-old stale bread or succulent turkey dinner. It's sort of like the Corvair or a Rolls Royce. What do you want? And if it's something you want, you don't need to be sold on it. You just go and get it. And I think the problem with politics in America, politics in this day and age, is that the people don't want what's being offered. They want something that they can believe in, someone who is going to be accountable, someone who's going to provide true transparency. And I think that if you give the people a candidate they actually want, they'll come out and vote. I think you saw that with Barack Obama. People wanted change. People wanted what Barack Obama was offering them. So they went out and voted. I think that you're going to see more than a 17% turnout in this election because the people want to express themselves when it comes to this election as it pertains to the office of mayor and particularly for city council. There are a lot of people running for city council, and it should be a very, very interesting race. I think this is going to be a historic election, and we will find out whether or not that is true the morning of November the 9th. But I'm here today so that I can answer whatever questions that you have. The time has been made available by Alfonso McGriff just for that purpose, and so we need you out there to do your part. 524-8920. That's 524-8920. 524-8920. I've just been handed a list of questions. When does the election take place? Now, the election takes place November the 8th, or as we like to say, 11/8/11. Okay? Polls will be open, barring a natural catastrophe of monumental proportions like record snow or earthquake or tropical storm. The elections will go on as planned on the 8th of November. If you do not know where to go and vote, you can go to my website and click on where to vote, McCauleyformayor.com. Or you can call up the registrar's office, the registrar of voters office. There's got 3 registrars down there. Someone should be able to tell you and help you out as to where to go vote. All right. How do you feel about the retirement of police chief? Wow, that's a good question. I think that the retirement of the police chief, I think the police chief was pressured to retire. That's what I think. I think he was pressured to retire because the current mayor didn't have the intestinal fortitude or body parts to fire the chief. That's my never-to-be-humble opinion. I've already made it very public back on my interview with the Channel 3's Dennis House on Face the State that I would not be renewing the police chief's contract because I feel that everybody that currently serves at the pleasure of the mayor should not be carried on forward. And I was asked point blank, does that include the chief of police? And I said yes. And I have very good reasons as to why. Because for 4 years I've been listening to all kinds of stuff. And the straw that broke the camel's back was when we have a police officer ticket and tow the state treasurer's car after they knew it was the state treasurer. And that to me is indicative of a morale problem and a leadership issue at the police department, particularly when the police chief didn't find out that it happened until a day or two later. That is problematic. and that is a loss of the respect of your troops. See, the police department is a paramilitary organization, and you can be the nicest guy in the world, but if your troops will not respect you, if the troops do not carry out your commands as the commander-in-chief of the force, then there's a serious problem. And so it's not personal, it's a matter of leadership and direction, and I believe that if you don't have if you can't command your troops, that's a leadership problem. And that's what I feel about it. I don't believe he's retiring. I believe he was forced out because the current mayor doesn't have the intestinal fortitude or body parts to fire. All right. What is your political foundation? Philosophy. What are you running on? I'm running on probably what is the most dangerous political foundation there is to run a campaign on, and that is the people. Most times when political leaders run as a candidate that is truly backed by the people, it becomes dangerous to his physical person, because this kind of individual cannot be brought under control through, love or money, as they say. And if he's clean, then you can't squeeze him for something that he may have in his closet somewhere that you want to use against him to bring him under the powers to be, because the people ultimately are the ones that are the real power. In this country, it's of the people, by the people, for the people. You are the government. Make no mistake about it. You and I, right now I'm a private citizen. Okay, I'm vying to be an elected official, but until I get elected, I'm a private citizen, and government officials work for me. I am the government. You all out there are the government. You're the government, okay, of the people, by the people, for the people. And so the government officials that are in place are there to manage the affairs of the municipality, the state, or the federal government, however the case may be. The dirty little secret is that most politicians are owned and controlled by forces and powers that are way beyond most of you out there. We, the people, don't have a politician in the game. By the time we, the people, actually get to vote, the politician who we're voting for is already owned by somebody. So it's sort of like you picking a team for the Super Bowl. Well, it doesn't matter, because the team is not owned by you. You don't have any vested interest in the team. Okay, you're just a fan. All right, and the team owners, whether it doesn't matter whether it's the winning team or the losing team, they're making money all the way around, and that's how politics works. You're taxed. It's your tax dollars that everybody's after. It's your tax dollars that the lobbyists are after. It's your tax dollars that the corporations are after. You're the ones with the money, and they take the money from you. What we need is a politician who is a candidate for the people, who the people can hold accountable. And that's what I present, and that's my philosophy, to run as a people's candidate. All right? Why are you running for mayor? Because for too long I sat around and talked about what was wrong with politics, and it's about time for me to put up or shut up. And so I decided I didn't want to stop talking about it, so I needed to step up to the plate and run. All right, put my hands in the dirt, roll up my sleeves. If I think that I can make government run better, then I need to jump in there and do something about it besides running off at the mouth. All right, 524-8920. We do have a call. I'll get to the rest of these questions after the call. Hello, caller.
Hello, Stan. Well, how you doing?
I'm doing very good, sir. Yourself?
I'm doing all right. And fortunately for me, the power did come back today. I'm sorry to hear that your power hasn't come back where you live at. I think you, first of all, made a tremendous sacrifice.
Turn your TV down a little bit, and I can't hear him in here.
Say it again?
Go on. But speak up. I can't hear you very well.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm not speaking loud enough through the phone. First of all, Stan, is this going to be something of your concern that this natural disaster that has taken place this week might affect the voter turnout for the election next Tuesday? And also, Stan, are you concerned with some of the horrible conditions that has taken place of people having overcome by carbon monoxide issues, just trying to stay warm? And as a mayor, if you was mayor, how would you address a natural disaster in the city of Hartford?
All right, let me take these one at a time. I think your first question was I concerned about the voter turnout? That's not something that I'm overly concerned with. I believe that, you know, our whole campaign strategy and the theory behind what we're doing and our philosophical approach has been to educate the voters over the last 4 years and give them a reason to come out and vote. Part of our test is, will the electorate come out and vote? If they don't come out and vote, then our theory was wrong and we have failed miserably and don't deserve to serve. I believe that our message has resonated with the voters and they will come out, whether it's raining, whether it's sleeting, whether it's sunshine. Voters go out and buy chicken at Popeyes if it's raining. During the middle of the snowstorm, people went out and bought gasoline, they bought pizza. They're out there now. I just came from downtown, and downtown is filled with people eating at restaurants. And so the fact that folks' lights are out does not hinder them from doing other things. I don't believe it'll hinder them from voting if they have someone that they believe in can make a real difference. And I think that's what's been wrong with our voter turnout. The voters are sick and tired of the flim-flam, corrupt type of politicians that lie to them on a regular basis, and they're not going to come out and vote for that kind of treatment. I think your other question was about the terrible situation with people in their homes as it relates to the storm. It's very, very critical that people do what is necessary to stay warm, but that they do it in a safe manner. If you are cold and you don't have a way to stay warm, do not use your stove, do not use kerosene heaters. These are the kinds of things that will wind up in a very tragic end, because the burning of the oxygen within the place that you're living is going to cause you to have a deficiency in oxygen, and the exhaust that comes from the burning of those fuels is going to result in carbon monoxide going up, and you're going to suffocate and have a very serious medical condition that can include death. So go to a warming station. If you feel cold, get on the phone, call somebody, a paramedic, or call friends and family, have them come over and tend to whatever needs that you may have. But by no means should people be burning things inside or having generators in their basement so people won't steal them, or on the back porch, even though they may think that it's venting to the outside, it's actually coming inside. Now, I can't remember what your third thing was. I don't remember.
Well, the third question, Stan, I asked, if you were mayor, how would you handle a natural disaster that has just taken place?
If I was the mayor, how would I have handled this particular disaster? This disaster, I was a guest on Dan Lovallo's radio program on Friday, as you no doubt know. After I went off the air, Art Horn, the weather forecaster, came on and predicted that this would be the outcome. For anyone in municipal government or for the executives at the power companies to say they were unaware of the magnitude of this storm speaks to levels of incompetence that I cannot begin to discuss here, because I will get physically disturbed. There is no excuse for the unpreparedness associated with this storm. The thing that I find most egregious is the response effort. No one has control over the snow. No one can prevent the snow from falling. Could there have been less damage associated with the snow? Had there been a maintenance program in place to trim trees over power lines? If the city had more than 1.5 foresters to deal with tree trimming, things along that line, could this have been lessened? Yes. There are lots of ways that this could have been lessened, because we are in New England and we should anticipate the kind of storm that we have had. We should also be anticipating a full levee failure. We should be anticipating if a tornado hits the town. We should be anticipating earthquakes. These are the kinds of responsibilities that government is expected to act on, and act on with some level of efficiency. That can only happen when you have government that is in place, that is there to serve the people and not rape the people. And in my opinion, the administrations that have been in this city have been doing just that, not only on the city level, but also on the state level. What you're seeing is the failure of our infrastructure as it starts to break down. Telephone systems that are breaking down, poles that should have been replaced that haven't been replaced. Just a whole system that we see as a result of greed instead of giving to the people. There needs to be emergency response that has this kind of plan. I've noticed that trees are all over the city. How those trees are removed is the issue, not that they are there, but how they're removed and whether or not they're going to be removed in a timely fashion. You know, you cut the trees and push them to the side to open up the main thoroughfares. There are plenty of thoroughfares that are still blocked and you can't get past. This is a discussion I've had at length and quite heated, as a matter of fact, with my spouse. But I do believe that the response to this could be much better than it has been. And, you know, obviously, you know, you have an emergency preparedness program and you bring in your department heads and various agencies and things that are necessary to make this happen. I'm not impressed with the excuses and the how shall we say, the poor public relations that's being done by Northeast Utilities. I think that the governor, on the other hand, I think he's actually stepping up to the plate here. I'm beginning to be impressed with his handling of the situation. But Northeast Utilities has dropped the ball completely, and so have many municipalities, including Hartford. In my never to be humble
Well,
opinion.
I agree with the governor's. Yes, I agree with the governor's leadership in how he's handled this natural disaster. I would assume what you're saying, though, that a mayor does have a particular role in every city and town throughout Connecticut, Hartford included, on how you handle natural disasters. And obviously last year when we had the major blizzards and the snow, I don't think you felt Hartford, our mayor, did a real adequate job at handling that type of situation. And who knows within the next couple of months if we're going to be dealing with a blizzard and we could be losing power for a longer period of time than what we have now, and you're dealing with a colder temperature.
Well, the mayor...
So obviously, this is a major issue that needs to clearly be dealt with better, and you're saying that the mayor of every city and town does have a very critical responsibility on how you handle natural disasters at any particular level?
The mayor has a critical role to play in dealing with natural disasters as they hit his city. Take a look at the mayor of West Hartford, for instance. The mayor of West Hartford has gone and taken upon himself to reach out across the country to bring in teams to help clear his streets. This requires leadership. There have been more than a few politicians whose political careers have been ruined over weather events. I mean, you can be deep in corruption and still do well. People don't, you know, it's sad to say, but people expect a certain amount of corruption in politics. They just don't expect incompetence in politics. And so you may be able to get away with a little bit of corruption, but you're not going to get away with incompetence that impacts people's ability to get in and out of their houses. That's where people absolutely positively draw the line. And people have been inconvenienced. And it's the type of inconvenience and the excuses for it that have reached a critical mass. Because we're hearing the same excuses given by the utility companies time and time again. And what we have are political leaders who will not hold these companies accountable to deliver the products for which they are paying, are they getting paid for, or taxing the people for. And I think that's one thing you're seeing differently about Governor Malloy and how he is handling this. All right? He's already going to take a hit. So he's being heavy and putting the burden of responsibility and holding people accountable and holding their feet to the fire, as he should. I would contend that that same level ought to be coming from our municipal leaders. Let's take, for example, when I was at Hartford Public Access Television, all right, and this is no slight to the current management. I think they're doing the best that they can do under the circumstances that are before them. Having said that, when I was running the TV station, Nancy Mulroy was responsible for communications in the city of Hartford. Anytime there was a snowstorm, I stayed until the storm was over so that I could post emergency information on Hartford Public Access Television and also on the Government Access Channel. Hartford has full control and access to Weaver Station, all right, to WQTQ. Both of these entities should be used, the Public Access Station and Government Access, which can be broadcast live from City Hall. Both of these entities should be used in a time of an emergency to get information out to the residents of the city. Those individuals who have power and cable can watch the Public Access Channel. Those individuals who don't, that generally have a radio, can listen to WQTQ at 98.9 on their radio dial, on the FM radio dial, and be given up-to-date information. People, there ought to be a clear plan as to what's going on as it relates to the buses, to emergency operations, to what the time frame is and expectation, keeping people in the loop as to where the outages are and what the time frame is for those outages to be fixed. It's good that the governor's doing that, but as the municipal leader of the city, that's something that the municipal leader should be doing as well. There's a difference between leadership and management. And leadership is willing to take the bullet. That's how you can determine who the leaders are. Leaders are willing to take the bullet. Managers do not want to assume risk. It's not the manager's job to assume risk. It's the manager's job to implement policies and procedures. Leaders assume the risk, all right? And leadership requires risk. Leadership means you may fail and fail miserably and have to pay the price for it. And that's why we don't have leaders, because most people are scared to death of having to deal with the ramifications of making a mistake or a wrong decision. But if you're going to be a leader, you got to step up to the plate and do that. All right, thank you, Jonathan. That's my opinion. Now, there may be others that disagree, but that's what the phone lines are there for. So, call in, 524-8920. I always want to hear from those who disagree. I love to hear from people who disagree with me. And one of the nice things about a live television program is that you can call in and tell me where I'm wrong, and we can have a conversation about it. We're not going to argue about it, but we have a conversation. How many votes do you think you need to win? That's a question on this sheet of paper that I was handed. I think we conservatively need anywhere from 5,000 to 6,000 votes. 10,000 would be really nice because it would send a clear signal. 524-8920, caller, you're live.
Hello?
Hello. Go on.
Yeah, recently you and I shared a conversation about accountability and transparency and the hall. Would you share that information with your listeners for us?
Accountability, transparency, and the hall. The hall you're referring to is a television program, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, we are in conversation with the producer to produce a television program called The Hall. The Hall is a TV show that is a behind-the-scenes look in the day and life of a small-town mayor. It has been given a yellow light, not a green light, and the purpose of the program is to provide full transparency. A lot of people run for office and talk about transparency, but the reality is that 9 times out of 10 you won't get transparency because a lot of stuff in government happens behind closed doors and in the back rooms. Well, that's what makes the hall so interesting. You actually get to see what goes on in those conversations. And the unique thing about winning the election here in Hartford is that unlike most political leaders in Hartford's history, I'm not controlled by any factions or forces or unions or anything like that because, of course, None of them believed I could win. And so a win would mean that the people win, and that this mayor is controlled by the people. It's the people's money, it's the people's taxes, it's the people's government, and there's no reason why the people ought not have access to what goes on. Once again, this is a very dangerous way to run a municipality, because there are a lot of corrupt people who do not want things to change. And so the hall will provide a level of transparency and accountability that I don't believe has been associated with local municipalities in a long, long time. I hope that answers your question. All right. Next question on the list. By the way, the number is 524-8920. Thank you to Alfonso McGriff and Conscious Conversations for providing us with this opportunity, and more importantly than that, you with the opportunity to call and ask whatever questions that you may have. This is going to be your last chance before the election to ask a candidate questions as to why he thinks the way he thinks, and you can decide for yourself whether I'm full of it or whatever the case may be. What will you change? I'm going to change a whole lot of stuff. Okay? First and foremost, there will be accountability. That's first and foremost. Secondly, I believe that Hartford's future and success is tied directly to the viability and success of the neighborhoods. And so more of my focus is going to be on the neighborhoods, because it's only with that focus on the neighborhoods can downtown survive and thrive. Okay? They've got it backwards, in my opinion. And so once we energize our neighborhoods and we start to push back our mill rate and bring companies to Hartford that are going to be urban friendly and hire urban residents, and they are out there, my friends. They really, really are out there. I actually came from a meeting tonight with the gentleman who wants to bring his company to the city of Hartford. He's here. He's in Hartford. And he is indeed watching the election. He may be watching the program for all I know tonight. But he's here in the city, and I just left him right before I came to this studio for this program. Great things going to happen in Hartford. One of the things I'm going to change is the inefficiency that we have currently in government. That is why all those that serve at the pleasure of the mayor can tender their resignations and start looking for new jobs once I become mayor. Of course, that doesn't bode well with getting their support. I'd imagine they'll each be out to get 200 to 300 people to vote against me. But you're going to have to get all them and then some to overturn the tide of the people. All right? Remember, Annetta Uccello was not supposed to win. Thurman Milner wasn't supposed to win. Carrie Perry wasn't supposed to win. All right? The list goes on. Check Hartford's history. Caller, you're live.
Stan, I did not hang up. Somehow we got disconnected. And
All
I
right,
just want to finish up with this last statement.
Go on.
After the election, whatever happens, first of all, will you have a press conference to outline exactly your plans? Hopefully you will become mayor. But I think it's necessary, in my opinion, that every candidate, regardless of the outcome, should meet with the people that supported him and try to give his views on where things stand and what he would like to see, the direction that the city goes into, whoever becomes mayor.
Okay, so
second question, or
so then your question is, if I don't become mayor, will I have a press conference?
No, the question is whether you become mayor or do not become mayor, will you have a press conference? I mean, it's something that I think is desperately needed. But do you feel it's not needed if a person
I don't think
loses?
it's if whoever the losing mayor is, whoever the losing candidate is, the press is not going to swarm around them to hear a press conference on what they think. It's one of those things that to the victor go the spoils, and generally speaking, those that lose suffer the political wrath of of losing. I've been on the side of that political wrath, so I understand what it is to lose an election. You know, hopefully we will be having a press conference on the victory side to explain to people our next steps and what we want to do and how we will transition the city, and that people don't need to be terrified that things are going to fall apart.
Okay, I understand that part, and I'm glad that's been clarified. The second most important issue is this economic development piece. You mentioned that this chairman is in town that's planning or would like to bring in some type of economic development project, particularly if you become mayor, or only if you become mayor, and you are advocating that this development project takes place in Hartford, in the North End. Would you, in your opinion, kind of outline, if it's possible, what type of jobs are needed that the residents who have very little training or experience or work history or formal education could be prepared to move into if this project is to come into Hartford?
Okay, I'm of the mindset that the people in Hartford have more than enough capability to understand how to do things. They just need opportunity, and along with that opportunity, training. The problem with Hartford is that there aren't any jobs. And as a result, we have all kinds of programs where people get certified to remove asbestos, lay down brick, all kind of stuff. But none of the stuff that they're getting certificates for, lead paint abatement, this, that, and other thing, none of those certificates amount to a hill of beans, because the people can't get jobs in those areas because there aren't any jobs in those areas. In my opinion, a lot of the stuff that has been happening has been in effort to hold back the community while other folk rape, rob, and pillage at the taxpayer and community expense. If you bring jobs into the city with a company that wants to invest in human capital and the human potential, they have the capacity and will train individuals to do so. This is not some sort of new phenomenon. Samuel Colt trained people. All right, Pratt & Whitney trained people. I went to school for aviation maintenance. I had never done quality assurance inspection until Pratt & Whitney hired me and made me a quality assurance inspector. Then they gave me the resources and the tools necessary to do the job. When companies want to do things and train you, they train you. People are not born learning how to jump out of planes with parachutes and carry M16 guns and drive tanks. The U.S. government trains them. We can train people to do anything we want them to do if the need is there. Since there is no need there, how do you profit off of poverty? Well, you create systems and programs where you can continually train people for jobs they're never going to get. And that's how you profit off of poverty. The problem is that the people who you're trying to help never get the help. All these people live outside of Hartford, all right? And it takes a complicit and willing partner and able to perpetrate that kind of crime on the citizens. That is my opinion. So we will be able to pull this off. Thank you for the call. 524-8920 is the phone number, and I hope that answered your question. What's the difference between you and the present mayor? Well, I believe that the difference between me is that I have a vision for Hartford and none of the other candidates for mayor do. They are managers, I'm a leader, and that's a big difference. I'm come out of engineering and quality assurance. How do we fix and make things work? I think my other candidates come out of more of a social background, you know, kind of how do we manage people's social ills. I'm not interested in managing people's social ills. I'm interested in helping people overcome their social ills. And may be a leftover of having a mother that was a child psychiatrist. You know, let's fix what's wrong with people, not maintain the state of their wrongness. But I have a vision for Hartford, and I have the ways and means to bring that vision into being. And I think that is the major difference. I'm sensitive to the One Hartford, One Plan. I'm sensitive to the I-Quilt. I'm sensitive to the capital region of governments and all of the things that we're going to do as a region. I'm sensitive to all those things, But what Hartford needs is leadership that is sensitive to Hartford's residents. And that's what I bring that's different so that we can move them forward. 524-8920, caller, you're live.
Hello?
Hello. Go, caller, turn your radio, turn your TV down.
I'm not sure if I'm on the air. Am I on the air?
Yes, you're on the air.
Okay, I can't hear you through the phone. If I'm on the air, the last question was extremely good. Your answer was very impressive. I would like to know, given what happened to the chief of police and what you call the morale problem he experienced, how you're going to deal with what I suspect will be a significant morale problem when you fire all the current leaders and look to hire new leadership in the city. And I'll take my answer off the air.
Okay. That's a very good question. I would contend that there will be no morale problem once the current department heads are relieved of the burden of running the city. They are by no means necessary for the city's success. There are qualified people who can run Hartford very, very well. I'd venture to say that the departments that I've talked to, there are qualified, capable people of vision and character in those departments that know how those departments should be run, and quite to their, how shall we say, discontent, many of those ideas on how to make the department run better are left by the wayside. I would listen to, with an intent and an open ear, to the people who are in those departments to see what they think in terms of how those departments should be run. And I would bring qualified individuals from anywhere I can find them in the world to help me manage the city. I think one of the problems with Darrell in terms of his running the police department was that you cannot go to war with another man's generals, and he maintained the outgoing man's generals, and those generals lined up to undermine him. At the end of the day, though, the leadership task is upon him to deliver, and his inability to deliver compromised his ability to continue in the job. It's just that the current mayor didn't have the intestinal fortitude or body parts to fire him, so they did this whole little thing back and forth to kind of force him to resign. But, you know, those are some of the tasks of leadership. I am quite confident that there will be no morale problem whatsoever within the city of Hartford. Absolutely not. Not under my leadership. I am the type of leader that listens to his employees. I believe that employees are essential to making any organization work well. And if you do not treat your employees well, you may as well hang it up. And this is a team effort. My job is to run the city for the electorate, and the employees, I feel, are an extension of me. To the degree that I can't do everything, I have to get people who can. And so I'll be very, very dependent upon them. And I plan to be very, very fair to them, listen to their ideas, have a reward system for people who bring new ideas and innovative ideas to help move the city forward. I can guarantee you, anyone that's ever worked for me in my 20-year history of being a leader and a CEO, even people I've fired, will attest to working with Stan has always been a nice thing. We got 1 minute left. All right, let me give you my phone number. 860-944-9797. Write that number down. 860-944-9797 with 45 seconds left. That is my cell phone number. If you have questions or comments that you'd like to ask and weren't unable to get in and ask them, by all means, please give me a call. It's a very important election coming up. No matter who you vote for, make sure you get out and vote. Hartford's going to be redistricted, and the number of people that come out to vote is extremely important to Hartford's best interest. Vote for the people that have your interest at heart. If you're going to vote for me, you will find me at 1E on the ballot. That's the only name you need to look for, McCauley. After that, you can choose your council candidates. If you got Facebook, log on to Facebook over the weekend, Sunday, and I'll let you know who I think should be there. Special thanks to Alfonso, keeping it real, making it plain. Good night.
Stop, take some time to think, figure out what's important to you. Stop, take some time to think, figure out what's important to you. Gotta make a serious decision. Stop, take some time to think, figure out what's important to you. Stop, take some time to think, figure out what's important to you. Stop, take some time to think, figure out what's important to you. Gotta make a serious decision. Stop, take some time to think.
Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. It's time to make history. It's time to rock the vote.
The only way to have power is to be politically engaged, which means you have to vote. In order to vote, you must be registered. The only way to have power is to be politically engaged, which means you have to vote. In order to vote, you must be registered. The only way to have power is to be politically engaged, which means you have to vote. In order to vote, you must be registered.